So you're a business owner and you're probably wondering, how can you use Google My Business effectively, particularly in 2021 as businesses are beginning to open up again and they're responding to the COVID-19 pandemic? Well, as you'll probably already know from this channel, Google My Business is bringing in a lot of traffic to successful businesses. For businesses that recognize the potential with Google My Business, which is a free way of listing your business on Google Maps and being found in Google search results. And the results are that you'll get a lot of traffic if you know where the potential is, how you can optimize your Google My Business listing, and how you can make it effective. So we're going to unlock some of that potential today in today's video. So what type of things are we going to look at in this video? There are several things you can do to give Google the right signals. So if you don't update your Google My Business, it's giving a signal. It's giving a signal you don't care about your business and therefore you don't care about your customers. So updating on a regular basis your Google My Business listing is the first thing you should always do. And there's plenty of ways of doing that. And Google's looking to see, are you responding to those emails they send? Are you updating your hours when they ask, when it's to do with holidays? Are you giving a COVID-19 update every so often? They're just little signals that let Google know that you're still around and your business is still relevant to you, because there are thousands, if not millions, of businesses out there that never get an update, and therefore Google isn't going to reward them with traffic. But if you keep updating your website and your Google My Business listing, that is only going to have a positive effect on how Google starts to rank you in those maps. So it's kind of common sense, really, that responding to the little suggestions from Google is going to be a big thing to do if you want to unlock the potential. So what types of things are there? Well, we're going to look at particularly some of the COVID-19 things that have come along in the last few months and how that can help give the right signal to Google. There's also a new messaging feature. So if you've ever wondered, how do people have it where it says that you can request a quote? They've got this large big button at the top of their business on their Google My Business knowledge panel. Or you've wondered, how is it that you can respond? Well, you need the app, but also you can actually do it on your desktop now. So you don't even need to have the app on your phone to respond to people that want a quote, or even to respond to people that write a review. That's, again, another positive signal. And we're also going to look at some of the questions you've been asking in the last month. Like, what happens if I've got 2 or 3 shops in the same area, the same town, but they're different addresses? Should they have their own Google My Business listing? Or do I have to put all 3 under the one heading? Well, I'll answer that question for you. I'm also going to answer some of your other questions that are to do with how you can get bigger traffic, in fact massive traffic, through adding photos. So I show you why I can say that. And also, of course, if you are part of the community, which that means you're a subscriber. So if you're a subscriber, thank you for your support. If you haven't subscribed yet, then you can subscribe. It's free, but it gives you the opportunity to be involved in polls and to be involved in some of the community things where I can answer your questions on videos such as these. So do make sure that you click the button, you subscribe, you know the things you need to do. And also later on in the video, I've got a really good question that's been asked about podcasts and how you can integrate podcasts into Google My Business. So look out for that. So I suppose that leaves us to the thought of then, are you wanting to be effective with your Google My Business listing? Stephen Covey was known to have quoted this in one of his books. He said, "Ineffective people live day after day with unused potential." So do you have unused potential? Have you got photos on your camera that you've not uploaded yet? Have you got articles and products that you could upload to Google My Business? Is your Google My Business listing not completed yet? Well, that's what we're going to look at today. We're going to give you plenty of things you can do to make sure that you maximize the traffic and you get the inquiries that you deserve. Let's jump straight in. So let's unlock some used potential. One of the things you can do is just really try and keep an eye on this box here. Stay connected during COVID. For the next 6 months or so, this is still going to be quite an important way of giving a signal to Google that your business is updated and you're on the ball. So there's, for example, update service availability. Now, you may have done this a few times before, but just do it. Every time you see it, it takes a few seconds. Is your business open? Yes. Are you offering on-site services? Yes. Are you offering online appointments? Yes. And then you can, if you wanted to, you can put the appointment link, but that's my appointment link there, and click done. And what that does, it just lets Google know that everything is still on the ball, you're all up together. You're showing that rather than saying you've got unused potential, you're exposing, you're being more effective with that potential. And that would be the same with these here as well. Update the business hours, post a COVID update. Again, a chance to put some keywords in there. So depending on what your categories are, depending on what type of business you do, you might just want to mention those in there. So it's just a very basic post. It doesn't have any images. It's pretty straightforward. The main thing with a COVID update, which is here, is just to let people know what the latest status is of your business. So are you open? Are you opening in 3 weeks' time? Are you taking orders online? It's that type of thing. It does enable you to get a link as well to either your website or your appointment page. But apart from that, if you want images, then you'd have to click on what's new. And don't underestimate as well the power of things like products and events and so on. So I've got plenty of tutorials that you would have come across if you're following me or if you've subscribed to me, that will show you how to do each one of these effectively to get the maximum amount of customers. But anyway, that's the first area that I just wanted to touch on, is making sure you fully use the potential that Google's given you through the COVID updates at the moment. So the second thing is messages as well. Now, if you click on messages, there's been an update in the last week or two that's enabled you now to not only have messaging turned on, but you can also respond to messaging that comes your way from customers as well. So for instance, I've got a quote here required, so I fill that out and I can give a quote back. Google started this up only just a week ago, and they've given this understanding of what's happening, so they've archived previous messages. What actually is this? What are we talking about when we speak of messaging? Well, maybe the easiest way is to show you how it looks in from the results. So if I type in Zanet design, you'll be able to see my company. And you'll notice that if you're a customer, you can request a quote. If you click on that, you can then fill out a quote for information. Say for instance you're after a web designer, then you could ask that and fill that out. And what that will do is normally that comes through to my phone, but now I can get it on my desktop as well with alerts as well. So that's another way, which means if I'm working on my desktop, I can answer any quotes that come in. If you go to here, I'll leave a link down below. You'll see that you can read and reply to messages, and in the past it was just Android and iPhone, but now it's computer as well. And on here as well, it just shows about the fact they've been archived, how it works, and some of the questions you may have about it. But let me just say that, again, by replying straight away, it gives good signals to Google. If you can reply within 24 hours, that's well worth it, because Google kind of gives you some extra credit from the point of view of being an authority, perhaps being reliable, those types of things. Obviously there's metrics and there's all sorts of parts of the algorithm that take these types of things into account. So don't underestimate the power of replying as quickly as you can to someone that messages you through or asks for a quote as well. And in that way then it makes this much more effective. Now if you haven't got this, then again I've got a tutorial that will show you how to do that, but basically the simple way is to download the app on your phone and then enable it, and then by enabling it, then that will help that appear. So that's the simplest way to get the request a quote button in your results. Now the third way to improve your potential is to just go to Whitespark. I'll leave again a link down below, but find out what types of citations would be best for your category and your country. So depending on what country you're in, I'm in the United Kingdom, so I've clicked that already, and I want to know, so if I was an accountant, Yale.com would be the best way to make sure that I've got some type of authority, but I'm not an accountant, I'm a web designer. So let's just see what it says for web designers. I've chosen internet services because it doesn't have web design, and for citations you notice here it gives quite some credit to Yelp. But there's some ones here that you may not have considered. So Yellow Pages you may know, but Broadband Now is one to consider for citations on internet services. And of course, if you now want to then locate and register, you just click on the button and then you can then list your business, and there's a free listing there. So it's as simple as that really. Now, the next thing I just wanted to go through as potential is if you go to your insights on your Google My Business, and I've often said about working towards trying to get a third, and a third. So in this case, I need to improve my branding. Getting branded is important. But again, I've often mentioned the potential with photos. So just look at this example here, photo views. So you can sometimes get, so first of all, you want to be beating your other businesses, which I'm doing here, but look at the potential you can get. And it's the amount of traffic you get from photos is incredible. So the views, for example, that photos bring in is quite incredible. The majority of traffic comes through photos. So don't underestimate the benefits of having photos updated regularly. So if you go to photos, look at the type of views it brings in. So the recent photos obviously are quite small, but if I go to the if I go here, sort by popularity, so look at these some of these photos are bringing 1,000, 69,000, 17,000, 6,000. There's so much more potential of traffic that you can get just from having a few good photos to do with your business. So that's just my next thing I just wanted to point out to you. Now, one of the things that I've done in recent times is I've tried to kind of reach out to my community. So I've now got over 5,000 subscribers, and that's kind of growing daily, which is great. And obviously it's good if you're a subscriber, then I really appreciate the support you're giving. But I wanted to give back to the community as well. I think, what can I do to give back to my subscribers? And I know my subscribers can actually go into the community area. And also when I update things, they get emails that come through if they've clicked the alert button that gets them involved into perhaps communicating with me. So I just put out a couple of polls recently. I just wanted to quickly go through these with you and just look at the results. So let's go to the oldest one first. So a month ago I asked, what's the number one thing you're struggling with? And it seems that Google My Business optimization, half of you are still getting ways, or you're wanting ways in which you can improve your optimization. There's a bit of website SEO as well. So when I combine those two things, I can see that at the moment, the majority of you, my subscribers, are wanting me to talk about Google My Business and website SEO. So I'll continue to do that for now, as that seems to be the way in which this community wants me to go. How long have you been using Google My Business? So most started over a year ago, or 50% started over a year ago. A few have given some comments of other things, and others have started in the last year. So it sounds to me like we've got half of you kind of new, and you'll probably be enjoying the new series I'm doing of starting a brand new business on Google My Business, which started just a few weeks ago with LaRue Window Cleaning Services. So look out for that if you haven't seen that series already, where we take it from scratch and we then bring it through. So that video is more for you guys. And then for those that have had it for over a year, then I've got the 13 optimization tips that I bring out every so often. So you probably saw there was one recently. A couple of other optimization videos are coming out. I think I've got one at the end of here that I'll release as well that you can have a look at. So I kind of try and cover, because it is a 50-50 divide really between the two lots in the community. And then on this one, are my Google My Business tutorials too detailed? So this was interesting because I thought, am I going too deep on things? And I was bearing in mind I had some that were kind of new, and I had all the others that were perhaps not wanting to be taught the same old thing again and again. But it seems that I've got it right, so that's great. So I'm going to continue to do what I'm doing here. But again, comment below if you've got anything that you want to point out. And then finally, just asking about the pandemic, just to see whether or not it's affected businesses in a negative or positive way, because you think it's negative on all accounts. But as you can see, some businesses have grown. 41% of businesses have grown since the pandemic, and then 51% have struggled. And then there's a few with some no change. So it's kind of difficult in many ways for businesses to survive, but it seems that most are getting through this, which is great to see. And I'm hoping that the Google My Business tips is giving you the advantage over other businesses, so that you're the one who's getting the phone calls, the inquiries, and the footfall. And again, this is all about making sure that you've got the potential in place. You remember we started off by talking about being effective. Ineffective people live day after day without using their potential. There's so much potential with Google My Business, And you are the guys that are doing that. So hopefully you'll continue to grow your business in the coming weeks. So I hope that, again, do get involved in the community to my subscribers. Now, I also wanted to cover some of your questions as well that you've been asking. So here was a question from Aaron Roby Fitness. Is there a way to add a podcast to a Google My Business profile? So I just wanted to show you this. I think what I'll do, I'll go to one of my favourite podcasters, which is Chris Evans. So I know this might not be necessarily a person that you pick up in all countries, but Chris Evans, How to Wow. So he spoke to Sir Mo Farah. So just imagine this was my podcast. So Aaron's podcast probably do with fitness, but let's imagine this is your podcast. So you've got it up and running. You can then normally you get a way of sharing it, but if you click on here, you'll notice that you can embed it in LinkedIn and other compatible sites, and that's a link to the player. So if I copy that, I'll just show you what that does. That brings up, so if anyone clicks through to this, it brings up and enables them to press play. And there you go, there's Mo Farah talking, and you can listen to that podcast. So how do I get this all within Google My Business? Well, it's pretty straightforward. I'll go back to Google My Business, I'll click on Posts, and I'm going to click on add an update, because that's generally for everything. And you want to just add your podcast. Normally they're square, aren't they? So I'm going to just add the Chris Evans one. So bear in mind that I'm not Chris Evans and this isn't my podcast. I don't have a podcast, but I'll just show you how it works by previewing it. And then you would then want to put some information in there. So probably for your podcast, you would just take that, wouldn't you? You probably have maybe that as well. So you would just add that in there. So let's go back to my post, and that would be my kind of information on the podcast. You might then want to put something like click below to hear the podcast or something like that. And then this is how you get the podcast. You just click on there. You then go to learn more, because I think that's pretty much all you can do. You take that link that we tried here, so that one we copied and pasted, and you just stick it in there. And it literally is as simple as that. If I preview it, so I've got my podcast, I've got, this is the one. So every time you release a podcast, you just release number 34, number 35. If they click on learn more, they go straight through to it, and then they can click play. So what a great way of just getting podcasts out there using your Google My Business. So obviously it would be related to your business, and that was, I think, the question that Aaron was asking. Is there a way of adding a podcast to your Google My Business profile? So assuming you've got a profile for your fitness company, then yes, that's the way I would do it. Get rid of that. Great. Just one final question. Some of you have asked about what happens if you've got, say, 3 locations for one business. So say, for instance, you're running a chain of shops in a county or in an area, and is it right to have 3 different Google My Business businesses registered, or should you register one even though they're in 3 different locations? And it's a tricky one, because Google My Business is for businesses, but if you've got 3 shops in different areas of the town or in the county, then yes, you can register each shop with its own Google My Business. And the reason I say that is if you do a search for, say, a supermarket, so if you do a search for, say, Sainsbury's near me, so Sainsbury's is a shop, it's a supermarket shop, but you'll notice they've got 3 dotted around, and they've got their own references, their own businesses. So what's the key here? Well, the key thing is really to make sure that if you've got multiple locations, that you just register each one individually. You build its own website, I would do that, so that you can appeal to your various characters. Each shop might sell slightly different things as well, so bear that in mind. So one Google My Business per location, so it should be fine. That's kind of my current understanding. Of course, Google may change things, so you need to check with Google, make sure that's acceptable when you watch this video. So you'll need to create 1 listing per shop and then register 1 business with 1 address. But just be careful. So I hope this has been a really useful way of helping my community as well. So that's my community part. do make sure you ask questions, and I will try and answer them as best as I can from my own experience. And bear in mind, of course, everyone's responsible for their own business. So hopefully that's given you some things to think about. Maybe now as you go away, you'll then think, well, I'm going to apply these things to my business. And of course, comment down below if you've got any questions, comment down below and let me know how you get on in the coming weeks ahead as you unwrap and unlock the potential in your business. But it's always important also to have a plan for your business. And I've been covering a few plans in recent times, talking through how I go about planning my updates on my business. So why is planning so important? Now, I'm sure you'd agree that a goal without a plan is just a wish. So you need to have a plan for your Google My Business. So if you want to get a bespoke plan for your business that takes into account your categories and the types of things that your business needs to do well, then I've got this video here that's going to show you exactly how to make that bespoke plan. But if you want to view the fastest video this year, my growing video of optimization for Google My Business with 13 tips, then make sure you join me over here.